Welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2019. Call of Duty is one of the most popular game franchises in history, one of my personal favorites, and the original Modern Warfare is a big reason for that. Now Modern Warfare is back, modernized once again. Here to tell us all about it, please welcome Joel Emsley and Dan Goldenberg from Infinity Ward and IGN's very own James Dig Dug Duggan. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. So let's just jump into it. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, it's a reimagining of Modern Warfare. Can you just, does that mean it's a reboot? What does that mean?
Yeah, not a reboot. It was, if you look at the Modern Warfare trilogy, it ended in a nuclear war.
Yeah.
And, you know, what's left after that? It's almost an alternate reality. So if you think about my last Call of Duty was nearly 10 years ago. That was Modern Warfare 2, and then they continued on to Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare has essentially been put to bed for almost a decade. So when we went back to it, I mean, I actually came back to Infinity Ward specifically to work on. I heard rumors that Modern Warfare might be being discussed.
Yeah.
And I said, please let me be a part of that. That was some of the best times of my life. But we wanted to take something and be more creative with it. So the idea of reimagining it allowed us to set it in today's world, make it more relatable, and I think raise the stakes a lot more with it too. I would kind of compare it to Casino Royale or Nolan's Batman, where you're taking something that everybody knows and loves, and maybe some few friendly faces that you've seen in the past, and kind of reimagining them how they would look in today's times.
So Call of Duty is an iterative franchise where one builds on the next. Does Call of Duty Modern Warfare represent a more significant leap in that respect?
Yes. We would need a whole show to go into this, in depth, but the significance to me is it's a much more, I'd say it's a grown-up version of Modern Warfare. If you look back at previous Modern Warfares, they were a result of, it's always been cinema that we've been after. We've gone after a cinematic, fun-to-play experience, and that was a product of that time. Now, if you fast forward to now, it was a little more, big pyro and lots of machine guns and crazy, bombastic, awesome, over-the-top moments, which is totally awesome, but you never had a chance to breathe with it. If you look at what we're doing now, it's more a product of cinema now, where you have things like Sicario and American Sniper and other things like that. Even Jack Ryan, which came out recently. So it's a little bit more grown up. It's a little more of a product of today's time.
Got it. So you spoke about these higher stakes. I've heard grittier tone be thrown around. What defining what within the game is a defining characteristic of this grittier tone, these higher stakes?
Yeah, I think we have a few people from it's an all-star team, but we have some. The narrative team is from Naughty Dog. They're old Naughty Dog guys. They've brought a narrative to the game that I've never seen before, and that also, if you combine the fact that we're doing performance capture with real with actors and actresses, not just voice actors and actresses, but actually going and capturing these performances. We have Captain Price being acted by an actor named Barry Sloan, who's gone through BUDS and Navy SEAL training for actors and stuff.
Yeah.
Not full on, but yeah, he's done a little bit of that.
Of it, yeah.
When you see Price, moving around, there's just something more believable about it, more relatable. And what we get out of it, if we're talking gritty and more realistic, is the stakes are higher, the game is more intense, the things that you're dealing with are more intense, and you start caring for these characters more. You actually even start caring about, one thing that I think is interesting about it is, it's not about what you're shooting. It's not about, it's more about when you don't pull the trigger. So the game is we're challenging the players to be in these realistic environments with, you want to save as many as you can. You don't want to hit civilian targets and things like that. So it makes for a more interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about real-world combat, one thing that comes to my mind is asymmetry. There's some games like Squad that do a phenomenal job of, depending upon the faction or the armed forces nation that you're playing as, you get a very different loadout. Is that something that's represented in Call of Duty Modern Warfare?
Oh, definitely. The narrative is actually broken up into two sides. You have a tier 1 side. We've been talking about this a little bit. We've been showing a bit of the game behind closed doors, but it's it's pre-alpha, so it's not ready to come out. But we have a tier 1 side with Captain Price, and then we have another side that we'll talk a little bit more later, but it's more of a guerrilla side, where you're being more improvisational with your tactics. You're working with numbers, you're working with knowledge of the environment, but it's a little more interesting that way. But having the dynamic of those two together makes for a great balance in gameplay. It's kind of a tradition of Call of Duty to kind of show things from different perspectives, and that's how we're doing it this time.
So really quickly, because I do want to get to the Call of Duty Endowment, is Spec Ops coming back? At the beginning of the teaser trailer that you guys showed us, it reminded me so much of Evasion, which is one of my favorite Spec Ops missions. So it is coming back.
It is. It's coming back in a way that, I think I could say this. Spec Ops was at a time when we were first doing it. It was the stuff that was hitting the cutting room floor that we didn't want to let go.
Totally. I'm actually tearing up right now, just so you know.
It's fun gameplay. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
But I think what makes this Spec Ops more interesting is the narrative carries through into Spec Ops, so there's more to it. So now our Spec Ops has, it reveals more. You can find more out. There is a thing that we're really working on where it's consistency across the modes in the game. So everything's relevant. Like, it has a tie. There's a lot of DNA that binds everything together.
Awesome. So Call of Duty Endowment, you guys are doing so many incredible things. Can you just take us through what exactly that is?
Sure. The Call of Duty Endowment is focused on getting as many veterans and high-quality jobs as possible. Our goal is 100,000 placements by by 2024, and we're well on our way. We're at 57,000 right now. We're aiming to do about 10,000 placements this year.
Awesome.
And we're looking back now, coming up on our 10-year anniversary. It's hard to believe, but we are the largest private funder of veteran employment in the world now.
Wow. Dan, how do I get involved?
Yeah, there's a lot of great ways. The easiest way is to go to our site, callofdutyendowment.org, and click on ways you can help. And there's two things particularly I'd like to highlight, or three things. One is we have our new Merch by Amazon store. So a percent of those proceeds go to help all our vets, since Activision Blizzard covers all of our operating costs. Every cent goes to putting vets in jobs. And then there's all kinds of opportunities to buy in-game items that also 100% support the endowment and putting vets in jobs.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing, and thank you so much, Joel.